All right, thanks for staying with us on the SportsMax Zone. Cricket is still the topic of discussion as we journey over to India for the latest development from the Indian Premier League. The governing body for the sport in the country, the BCCI, announced on Monday that the tournament will resume on Saturday, that's the 17th of May, and end on the 3rd of June. The remainder of the tournament will be played across 6 venues: Bengaluru, Jaipur, Delhi, Lucknow, Mumbai and Ahmedabad. The tournament was suspended on the 9th of May due to the cross-border tensions between India and Pakistan. Unfortunately, though, the new dates clash with the entire ODI series between England and West Indies, scheduled to start on May 29 in Birmingham and end on June 3 at the Oval. The affected players are Romario Shepherd, who plays for the Royal Challengers Bengaluru, Sherfane Rutherford, who competes for Gujarat Titans, and Shamar Joseph, who is part of the Lucknow Super Giants setup. Nikhil Chandani is still with us. Nikhil, given what is happening here, how much should West Indies fans be concerned about a potentially depleted side for those England one-day internationals?
I think there's concern for every team in the world, Ricardo, given what's going on now. You look at, first of all, concern for the IPL teams who've obviously invested heavily in these players. Not only from the Caribbean, but you think about South Africa, Australia, who've got the World Test Championship final coming up. You think about England, who seem to be notioning in the way that they're going to pull their players who are also involved in that series. But look, this is a very important series for the West Indies. When you think about England and the West Indies being 8th and 9th in that rankings, important points up for grabs in terms of World Cup qualification. And we all know what previous West Indies-England series have produced. So it definitely is a concern, especially when you look at the team that they've selected. We spoke about this on the show last week, the importance of Romario Shepherd's role in that side. Sherfane Rutherford just recently had 5 international half-centuries in a row. So, yeah, it's massively concerning. I think for Shamar Joseph, I expect him to be available because the Lucknow Super Giants would need a miracle to qualify. But for the other two, I mean, it's going to be very tricky in terms of the way West Indies handle this, because they obviously want to prioritize player happiness, but they need to prioritize points for the World Cup.
Nikhil, here's an interesting question for you. Who is likely to make this decision? Is it going to be Cricket West Indies, who will say, listen, we need you and we want you to be here? Or is it going to be the players who will say, well, we're contracted to the IPL and we want to finish? Or will it be the IPL who will say to the players, listen, we need you, we have you under contract, and we don't want you to leave until this thing is done?
I don't think the IPL have any say because of the NOCs that were given to the players. So they were given to a specific date, which would have been the 25th of May when the IPL was supposed to be ending. So that's why South Africa are saying we need our guys back by the normal date because they need to prepare for a World Test Championship. But I think it's complex, Ricardo, because in Romario Shepherd's case, he's centrally contracted. So I expect Cricket West Indies to play a bigger role. Now, Darren Sammy's always spoken about prioritizing player happiness, and we've seen the likes of Andre Russell and Nicholas Pooran be able to have the luxury of playing leagues and then come into West Indies cricket because they see an importance in that as well. Whereas with Sherfane Rutherford, who's not centrally contracted, remember, the whole reason that he didn't take a contract was for scenarios like this, where sometimes he may want to prioritize his leagues and his money-making ventures over West Indies cricket. And we're in a day and age now, this is the climate we live in. So there's going to have to be a level of understanding between the board and the player. But I don't think that it's going to be a huge problem for the West Indies, given the communication we've heard from Sammy and the administration. Now, it could be a huge problem on the field because these are two very important players when it comes to the series. So time will tell.
Yeah, and specifically for a Sherfane Rutherford, right, as you pointed out, in this particular instance, he's not centrally contracted to Cricket West Indies. From a financial standpoint, are you in a position to say how much potentially these players could be losing out by not playing, maybe the last 4 or 5 matches for their teams in the competition, assuming that they get through to the playoffs and go deep in the tournament?
I'm not an accountant by day, Ricardo, and I don't take a particular interest in players' salaries. But if I could remember what Rutherford was bought for at the auction, and then I think about an average of West Indian match fee, given that he's not contracted, it would be a significant amount for him especially. probably in the tens of thousands range. Given that there's games left in the IPL, the Gujarat Titans are one of the stronger teams. Let's just say they win it. That's bonus as well. But look, he's in a dilemma too, because he'll look at it from two ways. One, he's been dropped for the last 3 Gujarat matches. They've gone another direction. So maybe he says, well, I can contribute on the field playing for the West Indies. But he could also look at it and say, I did well for this team. Suppose I'm called upon in the playoffs, I do well. That then helps his chances for not only the IPL in future years, but other franchise leagues around the world. Let's not forget, this is not just any franchise league. This is the Indian Premier League. It is the best of the best. So it's going to be a tough decision for player, for board, but this is where probably the new climate comes in, and communication between player and board really will be very important.
Is it at all important, and I'm sticking to Sherfin Rutherford here, for him to think about, I'm going to use the word cement his place in the West Indies setup. I'm going to use that term loosely because he has done well in the 50-over format when he's been there. But we've seen, because there are so many players floating around, you can be out for one series and players step up. Plus as well, the opportunity to play one-day international cricket in England where conditions are slightly different. How much do you think someone like Rutherford would be thinking about all of that in making a final decision?
If I know Sherfin Rutherford, there'll definitely be that thought, because he's someone that has expressed a big interest to play for the West Indies, in regardless of the format. You think about when he went to Sri Lanka, where a lot of other senior players opted out last year after the CPL. So, given the evidence we've seen, he certainly is very passionate and wants to play for the West Indies. But when you add in someone's livelihood, you add in the future of their livelihood as well, and also the fact that his team are well poised to potentially win this tournament. It is a very complex decision, and it's not as black and white as saying, you know, I just want to represent the West Indies. In terms of cementing his place, I think he's done enough in the England series, the Sri Lanka series, at the end of last year, that he probably is in the best West Indian top 5 batters. And he's a left-hander, and he's an all-rounder who they hope to get some bowling out of him as well. I think he has no concerns in terms of his place in the squad. But he is a huge asset to have for the West Indies, given the lack of depth in bowling that we discussed last week on the show. I think they need his bowling, and they need his batting, obviously. So he's going to be a huge miss, and probably a priority for Sammy to try to persuade to come to England.
All right, well, Nikhil, we'll certainly see how things will pan out in that regard. Hopefully, the West Indies will do well in England with or without the IPL players. And by the way, Nikhil, I only asked that financial question because I know you're close to the financial issues and you've been doing some good negotiating yourself around these leagues, so you have an understanding of how these things work.
Nah, actually not really, Ricardo. I think you've gotten that. Your one research that you've gotten wrong. Right. Go out to the drawing board and come again.
Yeah, right. Let's go with that. Let's take a break. We'll be back with more on the SportsMax Zone. We'll close with Interactive.